What we say is, first of all, check for a pulse, look, listen, and feel for 60 seconds, not the usual 10 or 15 seconds for a normal heart attack victim. If you cannot determine that there is heart rate or ventilation, then we want you to do rescue breathing for 3 minutes. And the reason we do that, and of course it would be best if you had a mask, use that. The reason we want you to do that is that if the heart is operating, that will increase the oxygenation of the heart and might perk it up a bit, strengthen it so that it will beat faster and stronger. And after these 3 minutes, you do another check for a pulse. And now you've given the heart the best shot it can have to let you know it's working. You feel for another 60 seconds, and sometimes that works. The heart was working better because it was better ventilated. Now I feel the pulse. Okay, do not do chest compressions. Because if I make a mistake and do chest compressions on a heart that is cold but beating, I'm probably going to put them in a ventricular fibrillation. If after that second check you can't feel any, you can't determine that there's any activity, then you're pretty safe in assuming, okay, there is no activity, we're going to start chest compressions. And then you would go with the protocol that whatever your jurisdiction dictates. Okay, and of course you want to add heat if you can, and in all cases get to a hospital. Just that when you're thinking about chest compressions, you want to do your best to determine that that heart is not working. And again, that's 5 minutes, right? 1 minute check, 3 minutes ventilation, 1 minute check. We can't wait 5 minutes to start chest compressions. Well, in a severely hypothermic person, you can, because their requirements for oxygen are much, much less, and the downside of waiting 5 minutes is pretty minimal compared to the downside of doing a chest compression when they had a heart that was working, because then they're dead for sure. So far we have dealt with cold water immersion where the victim's airway is open, they are breathing, and the main health threat is eventual hypothermia, when after 1 or more hours the heart will ultimately stop because of its low temperature, likely below 28 to 25 degrees Celsius. Cold water drowning is another condition which is more time sensitive. In this case, the victim no longer has a source of oxygen and the fatal event is brain death. A person can survive submersion longer in cold water because the brain cools, and a cold brain can survive without oxygen longer than at normal temperature. If a cold water drowning victim has been submerged for less than an hour, aggressive treatment is required. In this case, a single circulation check should be conducted for 60 seconds. If no cardiac activity is detected, CPR should be started immediately with priority given to reoxygenation over body rewarming. So I just leave you with that. There we go. That's how to rescue and how to treat people. Any questions about this?
You'd mentioned earlier that you shouldn't immerse the victim in warm water. Why is that?
Well, if you put somebody in warm water, the heat and the intense heating of that warm water can cause vasodilation. You know, anything else we do to somebody, when you're really, really cold, you're vasoconstricted. You add even a moderate amount of heat, you're going to stay vasoconstricted. But when you put someone in hot water, that massive stimulus will override your thermoregulatory mechanism, cause vasodilation, and now we have what? We have blood coursing out to the arms and legs, decreasing blood pressure, decreasing temperature, and all things that are bad for the heart. And we know of patients even in the ER back in the 50s and 60s when they used to do this. They would take a patient, put them in the water, and they go and died right there. I have a colleague who did that on his first 2 hypothermic patients, and then he said, well, I think I got to throw that textbook out and we have to look at something else here because that's not good. But from that experience, that got moved in, generalized to everything. People heard about those experiences. Oh, don't warm anybody ever because you'll cause massive vasodilation, and that's bad news for the patient. That's the only thing that you will have at your disposal, potentially, that could cause this problem. Anything else that we're going to talk about, heat packs, any of those kind of things, there's no way you're going to cause vasodilation.